Good morning, my people. How are you doing this fine afternoon? We made it to Sunday, folks. We made it to Sunday. Hard to believe. Another week gone. Another week starting, depending on how you count it. But a lot has happened yesterday. Some very, 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 very big news. Just a lot to talk about. You have to forgive me. We're going to do a lot of slides today. So I need you to be prepared for that. Need you to stick with me as we bop back and forth. There's a lot of people that I want you to see. So put faces to names, as it were. So let's do this. Grab your pothead cups, fill them up. Grab a pen and paper because we're going to have a nice long roundtable at the end of the show. We've got no time limits today. Let's do this, folks. Let's talk about some domestic politics to start with. Let's start with the title of today's show, Levers. Oh, my God. We're in for it. I hate listening to Donald Trump speak with a passion. It's like nails on a chalkboard. It is vets. I still haven't figured out what vets are. But apparently he needed 11,780 vets in negotiations. He's the best negotiator. Oh my God! But the one that just drives me up the wall, the absolute most, is levers. They were levers. Of course, I'm talking about Peter Strzok back during the Russia investigation. Donald Trump got Peter Strzok fired. Peter Strzok was our best spy hunter. He was the assistant, deputy assistant director of counterintelligence in the FBI. This is the guy that Russia hated the most. And he was also the guy that was responsible for the Russia investigation. And hang with me, folks. This isn't old news. We're going to be talking about Georgia and Fani Willis. So hang in there. Corey Barton, appreciate the support. Really do. But yeah, came out that Peter Strzok had an affair with a coworker by the name of Lisa Page, pictured here. And somehow Trump equated that to he didn't do all the shit that he was accused of doing because these two had an affair. And because Peter Strzok didn't like Donald Trump. If you are our top counterintelligence guy, you're not going to like Donald Trump. You just aren't going to like Donald Trump. Donald Trump is Putin's bitch. He is. And if you run counterintelligence, you are going to be keenly aware of all of the inroads that Russia had made into our White House, our Congress. So yeah, Donald Trump went after Peter Strzok with a vengeance and got him fired. Peter Strzok ended up suing. But he did. He took him off the table for Putin. Damaged our county espionage individual abilities. But that is not the story I want to talk about. the attack that was going toward that he used on Peter Strzok is annoying. It's freaking annoying to have that gross, nasty ass postulated. A lot of folks are saying that STDs showing up finally. Guy standing before a camera saying leathers. Ooh, seizures, man. Just gives me frickin' seizures. Well, we're going to have to put up with it for a while again because it turns out Fani Willis has a boyfriend. And so, yeah, that's what we're hearing out of the Trump campaign. Mike Roman, who worked for Donald Trump, has already filed for dismissal, which he's going to get slapped down. But let me introduce you to the players involved. This is Nathan Wade. Fani Willis, you already know. I don't have to show you her picture. This is Nathan Wade. Good-looking guy, isn't he? I don't know, audience. You tell me. Scale of 1 to 10. Good-looking guy, not good-looking guy. I can't judge stuff like that. I don't know. I think he's a sharp-looking guy. I'd be impressed. If I hired a lawyer and this guy walked in, I'd be impressed. I would be impressed. But that's Nathan Wade. Nathan Wade was hired by Fani Willis to work on the prosecution. Whenever you have a prosecution the size of this, remember, everybody keeps talking about how big this is. You can't hold it in one trial and, because it's so big. DAs hire outside prosecutors. That's just normal. That's what they do. She hired Nathan Wade. Everybody is having a fit on the right-hand side of the political spectrum, because Nathan Wade and Fani Willis are in a relationship. They're trying to say, oh, that disqualifies them. They should both step down from the case. No. I've got a great article I want you to read here. When you get a chance, it's written by Joyce Vance, Richard Painter, and Norm Eisen. Norm Eisen, I'm not going to show you a picture of because you wouldn't recognize him if you saw him. It doesn't matter. But Joyce Vance, you've seen quite a bit of. Let me pull her picture up real quick so you know who I'm talking about. This is Joyce Vance. She does a lot of appearances on the corporate media. Because she's sharp as a damn tack. When it comes to legal issues, she's about as good as it gets. She really is. She's really, really, really good at this. That's Joyce Vance. This is Richard Painter. Richard Painter, you'll recognize. He actually worked for Bush. Ethics is what he does. That is his profession. He is a lawyer that focuses on legal ethics. This is Richard Painter. This is what he does. This is his wheelhouse. Norm Eisen, Richard Painter, and Joyce Vance got together and wrote an article about this situation because, hey, it's a big deal, right? I mean, this is, like to quote Joe Biden, this is a big freaking deal that we've got going on down there in Georgia. And yeah, I love you folks. You folks know people. You folks know people. Miss Pam, he eats and sleeps ethics. That's exactly right. That is his entire legal wheelhouse, is ethics. So they got together and they wrote this article. Why Fani Willis is not disqualified under Georgia law. One second. I would like you to go take a look at this because it really talks about, if you're going to have information, get it from good sources. And these folks really lay it out. When you look at this article, they break it down. First thing they do is say right out of the box, dumb move by Fani Willis, because you don't ever want to give anybody a crack to put their fingernails in. And your layperson, you've got to win over your layperson. in these situations to keep public support, et cetera, yada, yada, yada. But they did nothing wrong. So let's back the truck up for a second and talk about this. There are relationships that are inappropriate in a trial. A cop and a witness is the one that everyone always brings up. A cop and a witness. You do not want an investigator and a witness to have a personal relationship. That can color the testimony of the witness. It can draw into question your witness's credibility. You don't want a relationship, say, with the judge and either a defense attorney or a prosecuting attorney, because a judge is supposed to call balls and strikes without favor. So if a judge has a relationship with a defense attorney, any rulings they make that are against the prosecuting attorney would be suspect, and vice versa if you flip the script. It is not unethical for two prosecutors to have a relationship. It's not. Or two defense attorneys to have a relationship. It doesn't call into question their ability to do their jobs. And that's the point that this article makes is why, while nobody wants to sit and listen to Donald Trump for the next year and a half to 10 and a half years, talk about, depending on how long he goes to prison, talk about the levers, which he's going to do. You're going to hear that. Oh my God, you're going to hear that. The levers. Yeah, I mean, nobody wanted that, but it's not unethical. It's just not. You know, folks, let me tell you, cops have affairs with each other. They do. Lawyers, people that work in anytime you have a profession like that, where you've got really sharp people working together in emotional situations, you know, being a prosecutor is not like shuffling paperwork. You know, you're not an accountant. You're emotionally invested in what you do. They really, really, really want to take criminals down. And anytime you have that situation, you're going to have relationships. It just is. Talk to anybody married to a cop. I hate to tell you this, but if you're married to a cop, you're good chance they've had a relationship with another cop. So where did all this originate? Where did all this originate? Well, Nathan Wade is separated and going through a divorce. He was married for 25 years to Jocelyn Wade. That is the woman he is divorcing. And divorces can get ugly. Especially when you have a situation like the Wades. They were married for 25, 26 years. They have two adult children. He has been the primary breadwinner in the family. She has pretty much been a stay-at-home mom. She claimed to have no job for the last couple decades in court filings. But if you go to her LinkedIn, she lists herself as some sort of wine consultant. I don't know what that means. Maybe it's a tongue-in-cheek joke about she likes to stay home and drink wine. I don't know. I don't know. But anybody that's ever been through a divorce and you've got that situation where one person's been taken care of and they're going to get divorced, the person doing the taking care of doesn't want to do that anymore. And the person that is being taken care of, well, they don't want to not be taken care of anymore. They're used to that. It means getting a job. It means supporting your own lifestyle. That's what divorces are. And it's ugly. And, I'm not attacking Jocelyn here. I mean, she was promised forever and ever, amen, and they drifted apart and they're getting divorced, and that's a rough situation to be in, man. I mean, one minute you're the wife of a successful attorney, and the next minute, he's filed for divorce. They were separated for a long time. This wasn't news. This wasn't a shock. But she has an attorney that's a really good attorney. I am not throwing any shade or heat or fire or anything at this attorney. She is doing what her job is. This is Andrea Dyer Hastings. She's from Hastings, Shadmere. She has filed a court filing disclosing much of Nathan Wade's personal finances. She is divorce. Like I said, you get divorced. That's the way it is. You don't want to keep doing everything you've been doing. And alimony is like next to impossible to get in Georgia, most southern states. It's really freaking hard to get. She's asking for spousal support. The filings are a little disingenuous. I'll say this. And again, I'm not throwing shade at this attorney because this is her job. This is what she does. But she kind of talks about the kids and this, that, and the other. And well, the kids are grown ass adults. They were married for 26 years. The kids are adults. They are. But the filings and what the Trumple fucks are doing, pardon my expression, is they're trying to talk about like Nathan Wade abandoned his children and is leaving his wife destitute and yada, yada, yada. Well, these children are grown up. They are. She's asking for spousal support because she's been taking care of her whole life. And that's just the way it is. And I really don't know. I hate these situations. That's why divorces are bad, folks. Yes. Yeah. Like I said, people know about this stuff. They know what I'm talking about. Rose Blue here talks about in Texas, you have to be married for 10 years or longer to get alimony, which is true. And it's temporary. It's short. So this attorney's doing her job. And she's filed with the court. She said, look, he's gone on a trip with Fani Willis. They went to Miami. They went to San Francisco together. And my client's living destitute, on minimal spousal support. She should look at all the money he's made. And of course, the Trump folks are running with that, saying that, oh, he is paid. She's just funding her lover. He's being paid exactly what everybody else is being paid. He didn't get a special deal. He's not making more money than everyone else. He's just not. The rate is $250 an hour. Some of the specialized prosecutors have been paid as much as $1,100 an hour for their services. This guy's making $250. So yeah, that's kind of the situation. I really would like you to go back and read that article, because again, they're trying to say it's inappropriate. And maybe you folks, since we have time for roundtables, throw it out in the comments. I don't have a problem with coworkers having relationships. And I don't have a problem with people that have filed for divorce having relationships. I don't. There are some people that say, oh no, he's still legally married. He can't do that. Yeah, I don't think a man or a woman that's you've left a marriage long before the paperwork is done. If you've ever been through a divorce, you know that. You have left a relationship long before the paperwork is done. So I don't know where I'm at. I'm just not seeing the issue. There's no conflicts. She isn't paying the guy so that they can't go after for an ethics violation. It doesn't violate any ethics standards in the state of Georgia. That's one of the things that they break down in the article. They go through all the Georgia statutes. This does not break any ethics laws in the state of Georgia. It does not. So yeah, how do you folks feel about this? I mean, this is one of those sticky subjects as you're talking about, and I agree with them. I hate that this is something that we're dealing with in the Trump Georgia cases. It's a distraction. You know, I think Fani Willis should get a knock for that. Yeah, I mean, it's a distraction we didn't need. But then again, if you're going to put your entire, I mean, hell, you're going to put your life on the line, which she gets death threats, etc. I mean, if you're going to put your life on the line, you're going to want people that you can trust with it. So I kind of understand. That was my reaction, Linda Thalman. That was my reaction also. Who cares? Who cares? If there isn't anything unethical there that they can allege that she hasn't like overpaid the guy or something like that, or if you know, I might be bothered a little bit if he was in a marriage. I mean, like she's busting up a marriage, which is what the lawyer's alleging. It really is that she's Fani Willis. This is. She calls them. She calls Fani Willis her husband's, Jocelyn's husband's paramour in the filing. It was really that's what I did last night. I read that filing, among other things. But I'm with you. But does anybody really have a problem with this? Because that was the part that I had the smartest person I know, Mrs. Texas Paul, who's wonderful with it. I mean, she has skills, man. She has skills. I'm like, okay, hit me with it. Hit me with the worst of this. What is bad about this? And she kept coming up with examples that didn't apply here. And I'm like, well, that's not what this is. You know, one of the examples she brought up was like the Supreme Court and them getting gifts from donors. And I'm like, that doesn't apply here. There's nothing even remotely close to that in this situation. Totally different situation. You know, she's not gifting somebody anything. The guy is a prosecutor. That's what he does. He's doing his job, doing it well, by the way. So anyways, that's what's going on domestically. That and the fact that everybody thinks Trump has syphilis. It kills me that you could actually think that it's a reasonable assumption, a reasonable guess. But to wrap this up, let me tell you, this is the guy that has actually screwed this entire situation for Donald Trump. This is Mike Roman. He worked for the Trump campaign. As you can see, this is his mugshot. He's one of the people indicted. He has filed to have his case dismissed over this. It's going to get bounced because, like I said, under Georgia law, there are no ethics violations here. Two prosecutors can have a relationship. Two defense attorneys can have a relationship. There's nothing he can allege that was untoward here. So he's filed this. It's going to be adjudicated. It's going to be a matter of a settled decision with Scott McAfee, the judge. So yeah, Trump is screwed. Trump doesn't get to dig at this for the next 6 months because it's going to be adjudicated here in the next week or two. So yay, Mike Roman, good job. Oh man, I hope your coffee's as good as mine. You got your pothead mugs out. I hope your coffee's as good as mine. I really do. So we've had some interesting's the wrong word for it. Somebody will come up with a better word for it. But Iran attacked us yesterday. And the corporate news media is finally catching up to me. I have to tell you, this pisses me off. It really pisses me off. I put out on social media, Iran attacked us yesterday. And I got a bunch of the pro-Palestine moron account, troll accounts that attacked me. No, they didn't. But I got a lot of people that questioned whether I was telling the truth or not, called me a liar. That pisses me off, folks. Just because I'm ahead of the news most of the time, that's not my problem. That's their problem. Because again, they're finally catching up to me. This is from CNN today. U.S. personnel injured in attack on Al-Asad Air Base in Iraq, U.S. officials say. If you're a Texas Paul pothead and you follow me online, you follow me on social media, and you follow me here, you knew about this yesterday. The dude of SoCal says workplace relationships are as common as water and air. Yeah, and I agree. There's some that are inappropriate. I agree. There are some that are inappropriate. This is not one of them. So, yeah, I started talking about this attack yesterday. And the reason I got attacked by so many of these troll accounts is because this is a bad deal. This is a bad deal. Is there a kitty in the background? That's all right. That's okay. My producers are in the room. That's all right. Don't worry about it. Everybody loves the kitties. But yeah, this is a bad deal because Hamas was supported by Iran and Russia. They just were. They were trained by Iran and Russia. They just were. And the more that comes out and the more that comes to the forefront, the worse it looks for the pro-Palestinian folks. So they came out of the woodwork calling me a liar, this, that, and the other. You have no proof. I absolutely do have proof that this was Iran. First of all, they claimed responsibility. That's always good proof. They said this was in retaliation for an Israeli airstrike. The Israelis killed their intelligence chief in a strike in Damascus. And this is where I need you to hang with me. There's going to be a few slides we're going to look at. This was the strike that killed 5 Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps members, including their intelligence chief in Syria. Folks, there is a hot civil war going on in Syria. Just because you don't see it much on the news doesn't mean it's not happening, folks. It is happening. Iran accuses Israel of killing Revolutionary Guard spy chief in Damascus. Weird headline, since Israel said, yeah, we did it. It's not really an accusation when the people that did it say, yeah, we did it. That's what's going on. I told you from the beginning, this is what was going to happen. People are like, oh, Israel better not go into Gaza. I said, they're going into Gaza. They're going to decimate Hamas. They are. They did. 250 miles worth of tunnels gone. Commanders dead. Fighting capacity gone. I told you they were going to do that. And I said, they're not going to stop there. They're going to kill Hamas's leadership, and they're going to kill Iranians that train them. That's what Israel does. That's what Israel does. And believe it or not, we like that they do it. We do. That's why they're one of our greatest allies. They are our greatest ally in that region, because Israel will do things like when Hamas is trained to commit terror attacks on behalf of Putin to cause distraction and chaos because Russia is collapsing. Israel will do things like kill Iranian generals in Damascus, which is something that we don't like to do ourselves. We'd prefer Israel does stuff like that. And it is going on, folks. They did. They really did it. Israel really did that, and they're very proud of it, and they told the world. The attack on us and the Al-Asad air base, Iran said it was their response. They claimed it. Yet I had people calling me a liar for saying Iran did this. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Congratulations, bud. Congratulations. A little side note here. I just hate to jump off left field. Grumpy Moose Gaming, Ravens fan here. Congrats to your Texans on a good year. I'm sure many more to come with CJ and the boys are coming in. Thank you. Very gracious words. Very gracious words, sir. And I wish y'all well in the rest of the playoffs. I really do. I can't be upset. I've got my flag. I'll take my flag down tomorrow. If you don't know, the Texans lost to the Ravens yesterday, got eliminated from the playoffs. Ravens played a great game. The Texans fought them good, solid for a half, and then the Ravens just really just took off on them in the second half. Congratulations, my friend. Congratulations. I hope you do well. I hope you do well. I want to see an AFC team do really well. Taro Verde says, Chiefs. Yeah, that your Mrs. Texas Paul is right there with you. She is a huge Pat Mahomes fan. But yeah, let me tell you why I knew this was Iran before Iran said, yeah, it was us. And folks, this is not a small deal. 15 missiles were fired at Al Assad Air Base. It is an Iraqi base, which we are guests at. I will explain what purpose. Are we still in Iraq? And then I'll explain why we're still in Iraq. But yeah, they tried to downplay it in the beginning. You have them, and I call them them and us. Them tried to downplay it in the beginning. Oh, well, it's just a minor injury and this and it was not minor injuries. It is not minor injuries. Several U.S. soldiers are being evaluated for brain injuries because they were not hit with dumb rockets. This was folks, we have Patriot missile battles all around Al Assad Air Base because we have very expensive aircraft at Al Assad Air Base. Thanks for the support, Martha. I appreciate you. We have our best Patriot missile batteries. Dumb rockets don't get through. They don't. There were 15 missiles fired at the Al Assad Air Base. They were medium-range ballistic missiles. Islamic Revolution in Iraq is claiming responsibility. They are with the IRGC, the Iranian Republican Guard Corps. A bunch of Bush jihadis don't have ballistic missile launchers. They don't. These are highly sophisticated systems. This is the Shahab 3 medium-range ballistic missile. That's what hit the base. Folks, take a look at these. A bunch of Bush jihadis in Iraq do not have ballistic missile launchers. They're not driving around and big-ass ballistic missile launchers. These were fired out of Iran at our troops at the Al Assad Air Base. It's the Shahab 3 medium-range ballistic missile. The reason this missile was used is they are much harder to intercept. A ballistic missile, you get an artillery rocket that is fired, it goes boom, the speed it travels at, the way it's the path of its flight, it's easier to hit. It is. Ballistic missiles are really freaking hard to hit because they're fired way the hell up under the edge of space, curve back down, and then boom, they hit what they call their terminal phase, and they come straight down. Boom. Damn near straight down. The trajectory, yeah, thank you, trajectory, Facebook user. Very different between a ballistic missile and a dumb rocket. These are highly complex. These were Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps members firing these missiles at us. Seems important. Now, what does it mean? Everyone involved, except Iran. Iran came out and said, yeah, we did this. We did this. Everybody involved is saying that it's these Bush-assed, Iranian-supported jihadists in Iraq that did this. The reason they're doing this is they're trying to downplay. Just like you don't know there's a hot civil war going on in Syria. Let me explain what we were doing there in the first place. Let's go to the map. This is the region we're talking about. This is Iran. This is Iraq. This is Syria. Zoom in a little bit, get a little close. Iran, Iraq, Syria. Baghdad is here. Tehran is up here. Here's the Persian Gulf. Okay? The region we're talking about is in, the area we're talking about is in Iraq. All right? There have been 2 attacks. One last week in Erbil. We have an air base up in Erbil in northern Iraq. And we have an air base, it's technically an Iraqi air base, here in al-Assad. They support, we have bases in Syria, like Al-Tanaf here. This is an American base in Syria. We're not invited there, folks. We're not a guest of Syria. Syria is in a hot civil war. Al-Assad controls Damascus, barely. The rest of Syria, he does not. Russia very much was supporting al-Assad, but they're losing in Ukraine. All of that support, all of that military hardware, everything that they were giving Assad. And this is why, folks, you know, I've supported the Palestinians forever. I have. But where the hell were you people when Assad was butchering Palestinians and other Arab groups, Kurds in Syria? You know, the Russians are brutal. They are brutal. They are barbaric in the way they fight wars. Where the hell were you when they were burying people in trenches with bulldozers at a scale that is a factor of 10 larger than the worst estimates Hamas puts out in Gaza? But anyways, I don't want to get sidetracked by that. Big picture, folks. Big picture. Don't get caught up in these small picture things. We have bases in Syria. The Kurds, our allies, are in this region. This is Turkey. You see this in southern and eastern Turkey. You have Kurdish factions in northern Iraq. This entire region right here is basically controlled by the Kurds. Our air forces in Erbil are meant to support the Kurds, to keep the Turks and the Syrians from slaughtering them. They're our allies. That's what we do. We have Marines down here in Al-Tanaf. We are actively engaging in strikes in Syria, folks. We are actively engaging in strikes in Syria. Today. But you don't hear about it on the news. And that's why our State Department is tamping this down. They're going to respond, folks. They are. You know, Iran was just attacked inside their borders by Pakistan, by Pakistani militants. Several Iranian Republican Guard, pardon me, not Republican, that's Iraq. Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps members were killed by forces from Pakistan. I wonder who supports them. I wonder who supports those guys. But, you know, I'll go back to the map for a second so you can see what I'm talking about. These are all things that are happening. that that the corporate news aren't talking to you about. Okay, we were just talking about Syria. Move to the east, you've got Iraq. Move to the east some more, you've got Iran. There's Tehran, Afghanistan. Iran shares a border with Pakistan. There are militants that were striking Iranian Republican Guard Corps members in Iran from Pakistan. Now, Pakistan isn't traditionally a really big ally of the United States. It's lukewarm at best. But I wonder who's supporting these jihadis here that are attacking Iran. I mean, could it be maybe us? I don't know. Nobody's claiming responsibility for that one. But yeah, folks, that's why I'm telling you. It makes me really angry when I get some Yahoo on freaking social media that's got one freaking cause. His entire existence is to talk about Palestine and Israel because he likes being a fucking bigot that hates Jews. Talking about one damn conflict in a region full of different conflicts that we're involved in, folks. You know, I mean, I tried to tell you this before. There are some situations where there are no freaking good guys. None. And for the longest time, we had this stupid foreign policy that if there's no good guys, we're not going to get involved. And we ceded so much territory to Russia, so much influence to Russia, because Russia would. And there were areas that were just so strategically important. Like we talked about Sudan. Let me pull the map up one more time, because this is a perfect example of why we have to be involved in these regions. There are people who are saying, oh, well, we want peace. We want peace. The whole world wants peace, but it doesn't mean peace is happening whether we're involved or not. The only decision we're making is whether we're involved or not. And a perfect example is Sudan. There are no good guys in Sudan. None. See this green area down here in the bottom? And this eastern region, this eastern region is Darfur. This green area is South Sudan. This area that's all in the green in the southwest of Sudan is controlled predominantly by tribes that are Black African. They have brutally enforced their regions. They kill Arabs all the time before all this broke out. I mean, they really did. Our land, we graze our cattle here, get the hell out. The Arabs, which the Janjaweed, which were in this region in eastern Chad, western Sudan, coalesced together and they became brutal, and they engaged in genocide. They started killing all the Black Africans, not just the ones that were fighting, all of them. Men, yes. Women, yes. Children, yes. We're not involved in this, folks. There's two sides. Both of those sides were involved in genocide against the Black Africans. Both sides. One side is supported by Russia, that's the RSF. One side is supported by China and Egypt. Egypt being on the northern border here. The only way we're involved in this is through U.S. aid. We drop food off to feed the terrorists. That's what our aid programs do, folks, because the innocent people don't have weapons to control the food. So we, the good guys, come in and drop off food, and we end up feeding the damn terrorists. We really need to rethink this, folks. We really need to rethink, one, our involvement in situations where we can't like polish up our principles and say we're the good guys, because there are no freaking good guys in some situations. Pakistan and Iran, both sides scream death to America. But if we can influence one side over the other, in the side that's willing to say, okay, maybe not death to America, but we don't like you, that's a win. Because if we don't, Russia will. And that's not a theory. That's actual practice. That's real history. It's going on in Libya right now. Today, we packed our shit and left Libya. Why? No good guys. There were no good guys there. Everybody was behaving badly, so we left. You know who didn't leave? Russia. And they're influencing one side over the other. And when that side wins, because they're given modern weaponry, they're going to have fealty to Russia, not us. So let me tell you about the Democratic Republic of Congo. There was a mass genocide there, millions of people killed. Democratic Republic of Congo. Not a place that has good guys. Democratic Republic of Congo is not a place that has good guys. It isn't. But you have a government there that's saying, we did some really bad shit, but we'd really like to not have to do bad shit forever. So yeah, we'll have some rules now, and we'll invite the Palestinians in. You know what? The Palestinians, Gaza's just blown to shit. Come live here. We're going to be the good guys now. Okay. What do we do? I mean, we could say, okay, well, no, you were an ass. You were a bad person. You have to be a bad person forever, and you can't do good things. We won't help you. Man, that's not reality. That's just not reality. There's no good choices in some of these situations. That's why we elect grown-ups. That's why we elect people with good ethics to do things like that. But we cannot stand over them. We can't lord over them and say, you can't help bad people sometimes. Because they have to. They have to. The alternative is that we go fight hot wars with everybody we have conflict with. Instead of what's going on right now, where you have Arabs fighting a hot war, Kurds fighting a hot war in Syria, backed by a small contingent of Marines and a couple air bases in Iraq. And it pisses Iran off because they're like, we're the tough guys in the region. We're bad. We just launched a satellite. And we're like, I got 2 companies of Marines and we're kicking your ass. I mean, folks, I don't know how to put it to you any more simply than that. People are like, why are we supporting war? Why are we supporting war in Ukraine? Well, because for 5% of our military budget, Ukraine has devastated and brought a government that sponsors the most awful crap that you've ever dreamed of in this world, literal butchery of human beings to their knees. Which brings us to our last foreign policy story. You guys are going to love this. You are going to love this. This just made me laugh so freaking hard. It did. Russia's second largest petroleum and gas transfer facility is on fire. These are pictures of the last of it. It is incredible. I mean, incredible. There's a website called tankertrackers.com that follows tanker traffic. Because, hey, man, gas and oil it's a global market. It's a global market. People are like, well, we need to drill here and we need to keep our oil for us. And it doesn't work that way. It's a global market. If something happens in Russia that stops the transfer of oil and gas, it affects our prices here. It does, because all of the people who are going to take that oil and gas from refiner and use it now have to buy it somewhere else. The need didn't go away, just the supply. They're going to seek out other supplies. So yeah, I mean, this is a great thing that this is happening to Russia, because it absolutely destroys an already destroyed economy. It really does. These are the tankers lined up outside. I mean, it is great. It is hilarious. Ust-Luga on the Baltic Sea. I'm good, thank you. This is tankertrackers.com. This is a good source, by the way. I mean, when I talk about tanker traffic, they're one of the sources I go to. But yeah, you see all of these tankers, none of them, they're all parked outside. They're all parked outside the transfer facilities, anchored, sitting, not filling. And I think it's wonderful. Let's go to the map again real quick so we can show you where Ust-Luga is. Back out. Head up here. Here's Ukraine. Just start zooming in a little bit. Here's Ukraine. Here's Moscow. Let me drop a pin on it so you can see it. Here's the port of Ust-Luga. There's St. Petersburg, Russia. This is Ust-Luga. Here's the Baltic Sea. Finland to the north. Here's Helsinki. Moscow is down here. You get an idea where we're talking about. Ukraine, this is almost 1,000 kilometers, folks. Almost 1,000 kilometers. This is the part that has everyone scratching their heads. Ukraine sent 2 drones to Ust-Luga. They were spotted at roughly midnight. But the Russians didn't shoot them down. They stayed on station for 3 more hours, and at 3:20 in the morning, attacked the terminals here in Ust-Luga, destroying the natural gas terminal almost completely and crippling the petroleum terminal right next door. And people are like, wow, how bad a shape is Russia in? That, I mean, wow, these were not like really, these weren't Reaper drones, folks. These weren't like stealth drones that are like, really high quality, hard to detect drones that are not technically stealth, but, hard to detect drones like our guys, like we use. These were Ukrainian drones, stayed on station for 3 hours before finally hitting a incredibly significant military target. This is going to cripple. Think about this. You've got revenue coming in as fast as you can fill tankers. You've got dollars pouring hard currency, pouring into your economy. That's all gone. I mean, yeah, it's going to mean probably another quarter to 50 cents at the gas pump here. It is. It is. It's going to tighten up supplies of both natural gas and petroleum products. By the way, the vote enough is enough cups are at the Texas Paul store. By the way, so yeah, I mean, wow. I just don't. I'm reading this, folks. Because I read about all of these different attacks and the different things that are going on. This is what I do with my time so that I can come talk to you. And I'm reading this last night. And I thought it was a mistake. I thought, okay, I literally went back and thought, okay, because you'll read about these attacks and sometimes it'll be somebody trying to be really slick and they'll talk about an old attack that happened 6 months ago or 2 years ago or something like it happened yesterday. And I'm like, there's something wrong here. I mean, these drones stayed on station for 3 freaking hours after the Russians discovered them and then still carried out one of the most successful infrastructure attacks Ukraine has ever done. What does that tell you about Russia? What does that tell you about what's going on with the Russian command and control structure? Thanks for the support, Peter. I really appreciate it, man. I really do. Thank you. I mean, thanks. I really appreciate it. It makes all the work I put in worthwhile. But yeah, what does that tell you about what's going on inside Russia? Their military command and control structures, their ability to respond. This was just, I was like, I reread it and I was like, this can't be right. This can't be accurate. Oh yeah. Yeah. They sent the notifications out at midnight that they were tracking these drones. And again, like I said, these are Ukrainian drones. These are not Reaper drones. These are not the things that we pay millions of dollars for. Appreciate the support, Lucky Star. I'm grateful. But yeah, that's what's going on in the world today. Iran has attacked us directly, not through a proxy, directly. Islamic Jihad in Iraq did not have ballistic missile launchers. They didn't. Several soldiers, U.S. soldiers, have been seriously injured. There's going to be a response. There's going to be a response, folks. Despite what the Republicans are going to say, if Trump had been president, this wouldn't have happened. They wouldn't have dared. That bullshit. It's so easy to say that. I can say, well, you know what? If you had made me emperor of the world, you would all be billionaires. Any fool can say stuff like that. Any fool can say stuff like that. But the bottom line is, there will be a response. And I need you to, that's why we're talking about this. This is why you and I are talking about this. So when this happens, because our responses are not like other people's responses. They just aren't. We're really freaking good. We're one hell of a good war tribe. I mean, we really are. We are freaking good at this, man. I don't know why people get in kicking ass contests, because even when they win, look at Vietnam. Vietnam won, but they lost. They lost. I mean, we kicked their ass until we got tired of kicking their ass. Same thing in Afghanistan. You know, the right wingers like, oh, the Taliban won and we lost because of Joe Biden. No, we kicked their ass for 20 years solid, straight. Own that country. Day and night. We're really good at this, folks. We really are. Appreciate the support there, Mr. Peterson. I appreciate you, sir. Torben Peterson, part of our European audience. Thank you for being here, folks. I really appreciate you. But yeah, I mean, I don't mean to sound like a braggart or anything like that, but when it comes to kicking ass contests, we're really freaking good at it. So yeah. And because it was a direct attack on the Al Assad Air Base, it won't be something like Israel hit some people in Damascus or Beirut or something like that. I would suspect, again, breaking the crystal ball out, I would suspect that some very high value Iranian ships are about to have accidents. I mean, something on that scale. But you now know, when things escalate and things get out of hand on social media, and this is part of what I do, folks, is I don't like to let Democrats be flat-footed anymore. I don't. If you the players are that's what I want. That's what I want for you folks. That's what I want for you folks. So we've hit the roundtable part of our discussion. I will stop babbling on. Any questions you have, ask me anything. I don't care. If it's something that I've got some fresh information on, we'll run with it. Kim P says, Texas Paul, how do you handle the messaging on this matter to those maggots? I don't. I do not. Thank you for the support, Tora. I really appreciate that. I'm telling you, it makes all the reading and nonsense and shit that I have to do worthwhile. I appreciate it. I really do. And oh, by the way, like I don't know if I said, the voted enough is enough mugs are out there on the store if you want one. I don't. I don't gear messages to MAGA. And I don't recommend that you do either. You have to understand, folks. Let's go back to World War II to answer your question, Kim. During World War II, you had groups. In England, you had Neville Chamberlain, who damn near destroyed the world with his point of view. He was a peacenik to the extreme. He's the reason that a blundering idiot, was able to do the damage he was able to do because of people like Neville Chamberlain. Talking about Adolf Hitler. He was not a brilliant man. He was not a brilliant man. He wasn't, they try to say, oh, well, he was magnetic and charming and like it. No, he wasn't. Look at the man. He was kind of repulsive to look at. It was folks like Neville Chamberlain that caused these problems. And you don't convince a Neville Chamberlain. They're convinced they are right. There are people that when we talk about Iran and our reaction to Iran, or things that we need to do in Sudan, or things that we need to do in Libya, things that we need to do in Ukraine, that are always going to say, peace, man. The world just needs peace. And anybody, yes, thank you. Hitler was a drug addict. If you don't really read history, you don't know things like that. He was a severe drug addict. Had people stood up earlier, he would have not done the things that he did. He would have not been able to. But where I'm going with that, Kim, is don't message to MAGA. Don't try to convince MAGA. Like these peaceniks, these are people like, all I want to do is stop the war, save the children. There's no message that can enlighten that person because they don't want to be. They don't want to be. What's going on in Syria is literally on a scale, a factor of 10 worse than what's going on in Gaza. Just on a humanitarian level. It is. But they don't want to talk about that, man. And you're not going to reach them. You're not. So don't try. Spend your efforts on people that can hear you. Do that. Spend your efforts getting your own vote out. Here in the state of Texas, this is something that I catch a lot of hell for. There was a candidate for governor by the name of Valdez. You couldn't pick her out in a lineup. You people have no idea what she looks like. You would not know her if your life depended on it. If I put five Hispanic women in a lineup and said one of them is Lupe Valdez, she ran for governor of the state of Texas on the Democratic ticket. If you don't pick her out, you die. You would die. You'd have a 20% chance of guessing. That would be it. Appreciate the support, KTB. I really do. Lupe Valdez got more votes in Beto O'Rourke's home district, his home district that he represents, than Beto O'Rourke did. I catch a lot of hell because I said, that didn't happen. There's some shenanigans going on here in the state of Texas. But just like if you're complaining about the refs in a football game, it's because you're losing. Ren Crenshaw, I appreciate the support. The game should never be close enough that a bad ref can make the difference. You follow me? Gear towards the folks that we can get out. We have a group that we can reach that are like-minded, that are like us, that have the same values we do. I'll give you a perfect example. Let's talk about school lunches. There are people that consider themselves conservatives that you can reach on the school lunch issue by framing the conversation the right way. They're not MAGA. They're not. MAGA are just lost. They're just lost souls with no values, no way for you. There's no way for you to connect with MAGA. But just because somebody's a conservative doesn't mean you can't connect with them. And I would suggest in that situation, connecting with a person this way. The Bible tells us to feed the poor, feed the hungry, take care of my brother. Am I my brother's keeper? That's what school lunches looks like. When you read those verses in the Bible, school lunches is the easiest, most effective way to feed the poor. It is, because it means that you get at least 2 meals into a child. And in some school districts, 2 meals and then an evening snack. You, Mr. Conservative Christian, Mrs. Conservative Christian, believe in the Bible. You believe in the Bible. That's what the Bible looks like. That's you want to know what fishes and loaves look like? It's school lunches. That's what it looks like in our modern society. So when you oppose funding school lunches, or you're a governor in a state that's refusing to take federal funding for school lunches, which is happening, it's the latest trend with Republicans all over the country. We're not going to take that federal government money. That's what you're doing. You're refusing your own Bible. That's how you reach those people. That's how you reach those people. But only waste your time on people that are reachable If someone has a MAGA cap on, they are not reachable. If somebody has a Trump flag, they are not reachable. They're not worth your time. They're immoral, corrupt people. I mean, think about it. Man, I hope your coffee's as good as mine. Think about this. And I'll wrap this up. We'll go to another subject. Give me another comment, good comment up in the chats. Somebody that voted for Trump in 2016, there were a lot of people that were conservative Democrats that voted for Trump. And they did it because they didn't want a dynasty anymore. They didn't want another Clinton. They didn't want that. There had been enough arguing and fighting and stuff around the name Clinton. And Trump was a somewhat unknown quantity at that time. All people knew about Trump was his stupid television show. And when you told them terrible things and you even showed them the Access Hollywood tape, they had already made up their mind that they weren't going to do a Democratic dynasty. They weren't going to have Hillary Clinton, even though she is the most qualified candidate to run for president. I will put her up against Dwight Eisenhower if you wanted to do resume to resume. The most qualified candidate to be president. You have people that were not, that are Democrats now. 100% realize the error of their ways. And we'll never do that again. Were people that did that. So what I'm telling you is fight where your fight matters. Fight where your fight matters. All right, let's go to another question. Vendetta AK Becky says, Texas Paul, there is something big going on in Germany. There are demonstrations all over Germany against AfD party. It's so awesome because they are like MAGA and we fight for democracy. Yes, they're a big thing. You know, this is for another show. I'll give you a little preview of an upcoming show. I was going to do this Wednesday or Friday, but there is not just politically, but economically, big shifts happening that are going to affect 2024, 2025, 2026 going on in the future. There is a backlash against these hard writers. I mean, people have seen enough. People have seen enough. Even Meloni down in Italy, who came out and you know, she got elected by the skin of her teeth on this. She's like Ron DeSantis, man. That's what she was like. Let me be as big a jerk as I can possibly be, and people will love it. Now that she's gotten into office, there's no appetite for it. And she is seriously curtailing her rhetoric. Just all over Europe, there is this movement. It's actually worldwide. You're getting these people that, even people that are fed up, are looking at the right and they're saying, no, not that. We're not doing that. That's happening big time in Germany. Germany is moving left. France, Macron, Putin thought he had Macron dead to rights. He thought he was going to get he thought he was going to get Marine Le Pen in. No, nobody wants her at all. As hard as, and if you think the stuff that we're seeing on our social media is rough, you think that the trolls that go active, 8 p.m., X-Chan becomes a sewer. The trolls start going active in Indonesia. Then by 10 p.m., the trolls start going active in St. Petersburg. It is nighttime on X-Chan is gross. It is awful. That's why you wake up to these ridiculous things that you can't relate to at all while you were sleeping. That politically is going on. Economically, We've been in a housing bubble in Europe, here in the United States, in Asia. The one in Asia is already burst. The one in Europe is bursting as we speak. The one here in the United States is about to burst. There are serious financial repercussions due to this. All of these things are dancing together, and it really is a tremendous opportunity for us on the left. It really is. We'll talk about it in depth on either Wednesday or Friday. DN DFL Rock says, question, what part of the world conflicts worries you most? Ukraine. 100% Ukraine. One, the atrocities are worse in Ukraine than they are anywhere else in the world. You don't see Israeli IDF cutting people's penises off. You don't, but you see Russian soldiers doing that. You don't see anyone screaming in Gaza that 700,000 children were kidnapped and taken by Israel to be raised to hate Palestinians. They happen. Took 700,000 Ukrainian children, adopted them out to Russian families. They did that. That really happened. And the stakes for victory could not be higher. If Putin wins, even a partial victory in Ukraine, we will be doing this for decades. He'll groom a successor. And even after that man dies, we'll be dealing with Russian terrorism. We will. If Ukraine wins, Putin does not survive. Thank you, Hirundo. I appreciate it. If Ukraine wins, Putin does not survive. And likely, Russia gets carved into multiple pieces. The Russian Federation does not exist as we know it today. Because ethnically, it isn't even close to one country. It isn't. I was talking with Richard Ojeda about this. If I took you, blindfolded you, put you on a plane, flew you into southern Russia, say near the Georgian border, the Armenian border, southern Russia, the Caucasus, and let you look around and interact with the people, then blindfolded you, put you on another plane, flew you up to St. Petersburg, which is very European, very cosmopolitan city. It is. Walked you around, let you interact with the people. Then I blindfolded you again and I flew you out to Siberia or anywhere north of Mongolia and that region of Russia and let you walk around and interact with the people. You would not know that you were in the same country for those 3 visits. They are massively different culturally. Just massively different. To a far greater extent, the United States is a big country, but if you were in New York, Dallas, and Alaska, you would still know you were in America. You would. I mean, it would just, beyond the language, it would be obvious that you're within the same culture. When Russia collapses this time, I don't believe we're going to make the same foolish mistake that we made when the Soviet Union collapsed. We made the assumption when the Soviet Union collapsed that we could not allow it to collapse completely. We were afraid of their nuclear arsenals falling into the wrong hands. We were afraid of wars breaking out because of desperation. Warlords that were taking Oleg Deripaska, the aluminum magnate, the aluminum oligarch. He sells steel and other, but primarily he made his money off aluminum, was a gangster. I mean, in the full sense of the word, gangster. Do you know how Oleg Deripaska became the aluminum magnet when the Soviet Union collapsed? He took a bunch of guys with AK-47s and he camped out in aluminum factories and said, "This is mine now. This is mine." And when the country started to come back online, he said, "If you want aluminum, you will buy it from me. This is mine now." So we said, you know what? We should probably stabilize this country. We should be friends with them. We should be their friends. We should help them out. That will not happen this time. That will not happen this time. I do not believe that there is the will or the argument to be made that when Russia collapses again, and it is going to collapse, folks, it is already collapsed. They can't keep the lights on and the heat on in January, February, March, April. These are all winter months in Russia. I mean, hard winter months. April, the flowers are blooming here in Texas. By April, your potatoes and onions better have been in the ground for your vegetable garden. In Russia, it is still hard winter. And they can't keep the lights and the heat on now. And this right here, this is why we need to keep talking, folks. William Griffin, China rule Russia. Absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody's freaking out about China and Taiwan. I'm telling you, don't worry about Taiwan. Worry about the Caspian Sea. Worry about Kazakhstan. Worry about Mongolia. That's where China's going. There's gold in them there hills, literally. So I hope I haven't beat that one to death. But anything else y'all have? I mean, we got plenty of time. As much as you want to do, we will sit here and have these discussions. But to answer your question, Ukraine is the most geopolitical important thing in the world right now. Raise hell with these Republicans because they are going to block funding for Ukraine. These short-sighted jackasses that don't know anything except for who gives them a check are absolutely. Thanks for the support, Kate. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Are absolutely willing to let Putin win just because they'll keep sending them checks. Greg Edmond, great question about South Africa. South Africa's in love with Russia. Why? All right. Brief history of South Africa. You know, everybody remembers apartheid. Everybody remembers P.W. Botha and the fall of the apartheid South Africa. And nobody remembers anything about what happened next. This is why I'm talking, folks. Foreign policy matters and isolationism doesn't work. The Republicans are isolationists now. When you do that, the world doesn't stop turning. The people that live in the world still live their lives. Russia and China both moved into South Africa politically and economically. We ignored South Africa. Damn racists. And you have people like Elon Musk and his character. His family owned an emerald mine in South Africa. Stephen Sayers, Texas Paul, your commentary, you give me hope. Wish I could see your book titles. Any recommendations? Clive Cussler, my friend. Anything from Clive Cussler. Love the guy. Love the guy. Most of those are Clive Cussler back there. But yeah, I want you to think about this. You have a wavy, wobbly, I meant to say, government that is susceptible to corruption, not 100% supported by the population. Those that have money and businesses, not real happy about his existence. You have a situation ripe for somebody like Russia to come in and work with corrupt blacks and racist whites both. This is what Russia does. They work with both sides. They do. They whisper in both sides' ears and say, man, you're right. Man, them Americans, they screwed your deal up here. You were running this country. Look how corrupt they are over there and the things that they're doing. Oh, my God, the Americans did that to you. And then they go over here to this side and they say, man, you guys are just, y'all are just starting out as a country. And here you are just trying to put a little money in your pocket and try to do business. And here the Americans are trying to tell you how to do business and how ethically you got to be. And look at them. They're just stepping on you. They're just stepping on you. And we Americans were like, yeah, we did it. Apartheid's gone. Woo, we're won. Go home. Keep that comment up. Don't take that comment down. I want to get after that one. But yeah, that's what happened in South Africa. And the government there responded to those inroads. And we, for the longest time, have had a policy, a foreign policy, that if there isn't a good guy that we can look good in the news supporting, we're not going to get involved. And that's a mistake. It's a mistake. Sometimes there are no good guys, but it doesn't mean the people and the situation is going to go away. And South Africa is another one of those situations where we have a historic example where we've got a government that we helped establish that is now showing strong fealty towards Russia. They are, not only do you have them involved in BRICS, which is a failure out of the gate. Brazil's another example. We've been helping Brazil here. They almost went full hardline Russia. If Bolsonaro had won, thank God we got involved there. Thank God we got involved there. I don't know if you know this, but your meat, most of it comes from Brazilian companies, Brazilian-owned companies. Yeah, I'm telling you, folks, man, we have to be involved in these situations. I hope that answers your questions as to what has happened. It was our own not paying attention to South Africa, our own desire to only be involved with these places that are the good guys, that left us in a situation where Russia could move in, China could move in and undercut our relationships. And now that we're having a serious crisis, South Africa's on the wrong side. We're having to overcome them now. Digital Waterfall, Real Texas Paul, why don't we want independence for Taiwan? Why wasn't Biden supporting democracy in that respect? That is a fallacy. We do support independence for Taiwan. Taiwan's been, you can go ahead and pull it down. Taiwan has been independent. What we don't do is we don't dictate to Taiwan or China how they have to talk to each other. We don't do that because it's kind of a Chinese thing going on there. I mean, if you know the history with Chiang Kai-shek and Mao and how Taiwan came to be, it's really kind of a Chinese thing there. But yeah, you can't say that we're not supporting them when we have carrier groups literally standing between Taiwan and China. I don't know where you get that we're not supporting them. We are, and we have. And Taiwan is independent of China. They just are. Taiwan was the largest manufacturer of semiconductors in the world before the CHIPS Act, and we started building more of them here. Taiwan is not in danger. They really aren't. They're just not in danger. And to be quite honest with you, I don't see an upside for China actually, other than face. And what the hell does I mean? Face matters, and people do make mistakes over face, saving face. But Taiwan is not the global player in semiconductors that they once were. The Biden administration brilliantly brought tons of that manufacturing home. So even if China were to invade Taiwan, take control of chip manufacturing in Taiwan, it wouldn't give them the leverage that it would have under Trump. Exactly, the CHIPS Act. I mean, that's what Democrats do, is we look at situations like that and we look at making them better. I mean, we made Taiwan less of a target by making them less important in the superconductor market, believe it or not. All right. Any questions, any comments, any good ones out there? Bring them up. All right, we got one from Uncle Fatty here. USA is not the mediator for of the world. We only suggest to do to both sides, just like Russia, but our interests, not Russians. Let me tell you, this is the argument I'm making. And y'all tell me if I'm wrong here. This has been a mistake. Our good guy routine has been a mistake. I believe that. We went into Iraq, we expended massive amounts of money and men and lives. And to be honest with you, China won the Iraq War. They did. China got access to that oil. It was Chinese companies that came in and did the majority of the service work in Iraq. Because we're not colonizers. We're so worried about that word. That word doesn't strike fear in me like it does people. Somebody says, Texas Paul, you're colonizers. Yay. Yay, I'm a colonizer. All right, cool. Because I happen to know the history of the world. Unless you're standing in a cave, there's a particular cave in China and a particular cave in Africa where we all came from. Every other bit of land in this world was stolen. Let me repeat that. Unless you have the genetics that take you back and you're standing and your land is at the original, where Java Man and everybody came from, where the first humans came from, and your genetics go back to that, all land is stolen. All of it. Throughout our entire history. Yes, including Texas. Absolutely, Karen Collins. Yeah, I make that argument all the time. They're like, well, we have to give the land back. The hell we are. You know what? And I tell people the truth. You know who in the Texas Revolution, the good guys were? The Mexicans. They were the good guys. Morally, ethically, legally, they were the good guys. Are we giving Texas back? Hell no. Hell no. No, we're not. All land is stolen, folks. all land is stolen unless you can genetically trace your roots back to the first humans, and your land happens to be around those two caves in China. Look it up, folks, where we come from. Everywhere else on earth, all land is stolen. Let's go to the map for a second, talking about that. Let's go to the map. Back out. Let's go head back down here to where everybody's freaking out, calling everybody colonizers here in Israel. Israel's colonizers. Let's look at this. This region, can you see where I'm talking about? Okay. Israel, Lebanon, Syria, up into southern Turkey here. This region right here where I'm moving my cursor is called the Levant. That is what this region, up here is Anatolia. This is the Levant. Do you know who's controlled this region? Folks, everybody had a turn. You had the Greeks, you had the Romans, you had the Ayyubids, which were Arabs that were Kurdish, predominantly Kurdish and Egyptian. The Ayyubid Empire was based out of Egypt, but it was reached its pinnacle from Saladin, and Saladin was from up here. He's Kurdish. The Ayyubid Empire. The Persians owned the Levant. The Mongols, folks, the Mongols took the Levant from the Ayyubid Empire. The Mongols, let's get on the map. Let me show you. This is where the Mongols came from. This is Mongolia. They were in northern, this whole region, this map, this line on this map meant nothing to Genghis Khan. It didn't exist. Let me show you. Let me back out. Okay? This is the Levant. This is where we're talking about. This area right here on the edge of the Mediterranean. The Mongols owned an empire, stolen land from here all the way across this swath to the Levant and all the way up into they occupied Russia. It was a guy by the name of Bar Khan that took Russia, Moscow, St. Petersburg, Belarus, Ukraine. Was all Mongolian at one time. It's all stolen land. All of it. Yeah, we stole Texas from the Mexicans. Stole it. Flat out stole it. And the Mexicans took it from the indigenous people. The Spaniards came in and took it from the indigenous people. But you know what? They weren't the first ones there. There have been several empires in that region, Central America, Mexico, successive empires. You had the Toltecs, you had it's all stolen. Miss Lane, I thought that's what I was going to do. I thought I was going to teach. I did. And then I tried it and I'd never do that again. The kids are wonderful. They get them excited. It's the parents that are awful. I would never teach because of the parents. They're awful. Olmec, Toltec, Mayan, Aztec, exactly. All colonizers, all of them. One comment, man, real text. What's your opinion on Biden as a president, and what do you think his chances are for another term? I believe Biden will win another term, hands down, handily. I believe the 2024 election is going to be a greater victory than the 2020 election. I think he's been an amazing president. because he doesn't make it all about Joe Biden. He doesn't make any of it about Joe Biden. It's all about doing the damn job. You know, like I was talking about Iran and what we're going to do in Iran. I promise you, they are having discussions about what their response is going to be. It's going to be intelligent. And Joe Biden is not going to stand up on a podium and say, Iran attacked us, and we're going to make them pay because we're strong. And no, I guarantee you, they're on the phone. They got a guy that speaks the language, talking to people in Pakistan that are on the ground saying, you know what, make a deal. Make a deal. Some shit's about to fall off the back of a truck. I'll let you know where to pick it up. Make a deal. I freaking love the guy. I love the guy. That's my kind of president. That's my kind of president. Just do the damn job. And I don't expect him to get it right all the time. I don't. I guess that's where I'm different than a lot of people, because a lot of people stress, man. Oh my God, Biden made a mistake. A lot of people should pull that up, Becca. Don't take that away yet. But I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. They're doing great. Tracy asks, Texas Paul, will any trial get Trump convicted before the election? Yes. Yes. Georgia. Fani Willis, there's nothing slowing Fani Willis down. Nothing. The documents case won't go through before the election. They're going to slow that down. Even after they remove Eileen Cannon and they start moving, she's delayed so much that when they start going through the processes, that'll run into right at the election or past the election. The case in D.C., once the immunity thing over the next couple of weeks is done, oh, that's on a rocket docket, my friends. Judge Chutkan, thank you. Cecile Coleman, thanks for the donation. I really appreciate it. And yes, Biden sees the big picture. Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think the guy's a saint. Do I think he makes deals? Yeah, I do. Do I think that he's going to end up a couple $1 million richer for being president? Yeah, I do. They all do. They all do. I don't think the man's a saint. I don't think he's unblemished. I don't believe that. But I do believe that for the most part, he works for the American people and he just does the job and he doesn't make it about his own personal ego. ET says, you can call the congressman and tell them to support Ukraine. Yes, please. Couple thousand people are here live. Folks, 50,000 people are going to watch this. If just 10% of you make a phone call, 1 in 10, make a phone call and say, fund Ukraine, that will scare the shit out of Republicans. Believe me, that makes a difference. When you will pick up the phone and call, they take note. You're a different kind of person because then you're emotionally invested in the effort that you put in. Reggie, thanks for the support. Says, my husband is running for the 17th Congressional District in Texas, running against Pete Sessions. Awesome. Have him come on the show and talk to me. I would love to hear what he has to say, where he's standing, what he's thinking. Tell him to my email address. You go to our website, realtexaspaul.com. My email address is there. Shoot me an email. I read them. Uncle Fatty, I love knowing when I get my news at 9 p.m. for tomorrow from Mr. Paul and Midas Touch that it's the truth. Thank you. That's what I try to do. Even when it's not good news, folks. Like we're going to talk about economically, there are some things coming down the pike that are not good news. The good news is the response to it will be there. And they've set themselves up for it. And Janet Yellen is competent. They've raised interest rates to where they have tools in the toolbox to respond when things start to go south. when our bubble bursts, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do it on another show. But anyways, there are some things I won't always tell you good news, folks. I won't. I'll tell you the truth. Use it. Use it. Oh man, good comments. Yeah, hey, I've got a mission for you potheads. I do. It's a vanity thing, and I'm sorry for asking for you for something personal. But I want this really freaking bad. Really freaking bad. You know I'm a Midas Touch contributor. I love those guys. I do. I support them 100%. I am 100% on their train. When I came into Midas Touch, there were 125,000 followers. And I immediately, and I'm going to take credit for this one, I immediately said, guys, why aren't you asking for subscribers? You're doing great things. These guys have a work ethic like you wouldn't freaking believe how hard these guys work. They are working constantly on different projects. They have more projects in the fire. I mean, it exhausts me just watching them. They're amazing. But yeah, when I came on, I was like, we need to ask. And I started saying, hey, hit the subscribe button. Follow us. Follow us. Follow us. They're about to bust 2 million. Midas Touch has busted their ass to make that happen. But I'm asking you, make it potheads that put them over the 2 million. Please. If you are not a subscriber at Midas Touch, pretty please. And leave in the comments when you hit the subscribe button, pothead, hit the subscribe button, pothead, hit the subscribe button. I want it to be potheads that put them over the 2 million. And they're right there, folks. They're within, I guarantee you this morning, they're probably 150,000 away. We can do this. We can do this. Make it the Texas Ball potheads that push Midas Touch over the 2 million mark on their subscriptions on YouTube. Brian Champagne, Texas Paul, do you think the Republicans will try to shut down the government before the election? Some will. The Free Dumb Caucus will. They it's very simplistic. Shut down the government. We demand things. You have to give us funding. This is yada, yada, yada for stupid shit that we want. We're going to blackmail you. It's an old trick. They've been doing this forever. Preacher Johnson just got himself in a boatload of trouble because they passed a CR to bump closure back, to which Farty Marge has said she's going to pass input a resolution to call him to have him removed. But I don't know that all that's going to happen. I don't know that all that's going to happen. I think that Republicans have figured out that they just look like freaking buffoons when they do this stuff. It never pays off. The few little tasty morsels that they get out of we Democrats because we negotiate, democracy, make deals, aren't worth the political hit that they take. So I don't think that they're really going to try to do this before the election. It never pays off. It never pays off. So yeah, I think that even the slow, dumb ones are learning. Don't do this right before an election. All right, folks. It has been a great discussion. I appreciate you being here today. I really do. All right, I got another one here. Where are you? There you are. Steve Sayers says, Missourians for marijuana. Let me tell you something, folks. I don't do drugs. I don't. I'm not anti-drugs. I'm not. If you want to smoke grass, smoke grass. Do it. I don't think it should be a crime. I think when we criminalize things like that, all we do is make the worst people that are willing to do the worst things the most powerful, and we hurt people. We hurt people, our own people. Decriminalize drugs, folks. Just it lets the racists do things like lock up people because they got a dime bag of dope. Don't do it, man. Don't do it. It's stupid policy. It's stupid for our people. All it does is leave the worst people in power. Just it's bad policy. Even if you don't agree with drugs, even if you're like me, you've helped someone you love dearly through addiction, don't make it worse. But that's all I got to say about that. All right. All right. What do we got here? You know what, folks? I hate to say this, but the coffee's catching up with me. I'm going to leave it with this. Slava Ukraini. Appreciate the comment, Brent. I do. I appreciate all the support from everybody. I want to remind you that the cups are available. Get your get your pothead mug. She took my pothead mug. Get your pothead mug so we can sit and have coffee together, man. I use the support. I put it into the show. I buy equipment. I buy subscriptions. I don't waste money. It's just who I am. I don't like to waste money. We've just picked up the website. The last thing I want to talk about is voteenoughisenough.com. Didn't get enough responses in the emails. Only got 2 or 3 responding to this. We Texas Paul Potheads now own. Well, I say own. We've got it for the next several years. Voteenoughisenough.com. What do you want to do with it? What do you want to see me do with it? I'm thinking about it. It's going to be a lot of change coming out of my pocket anyway, web developers, everything like that. I want to make it as effective as possible. What do you want to do with it? We're a community here, folks. I'm not, this ain't about me. It's about us. One person says an info hub. I thought about that. I thought about reaching out to candidates. This is one idea. Reaching out to candidates so that candidates can put their information on it by district. All you would need to know is your district. And you can get in touch with your candidate and have them talk a little bit about what they believe in and what they want to do. I believe it or not, I actually know quite a bit about it. So what do you guys think? I mean, that's one thing that we can do with it is make it a hub for information. Say you want to volunteer, but you don't know exactly how, what kind of volunteering you want to do, who you can volunteer for. We could do that. I could reach out to candidates and say, okay, for the 2024 election, these are the Democrats running. This is how you get in touch with them. These are the links to their websites to set up for volunteering. We could do that. That's another idea. We could use it for an information site. I don't think that would be the most effective use for it, though. I think that should be part of it. I'm thinking that we could take voteenoughisenough.com and hit issues, hot issues. And we could have that as part of it. But I would like to do more with it. We could turn it into a pack, folks, if you wanted to do that, where we gather donations and funnel them to specific causes. True. That's what I'm talking about. It seems like that's what most people are leaning towards, is wanting to use it as a resource for candidates if they want to reach out and get their information put out on it for the 2024 election. That seems like a good way to go, and it's really not that hard to do. The expenses wouldn't be that great. All right, let's see what else we got. Forgive the pregnant pause here. Look, I'm loving the feedback. If you got some ideas, go to my website. My email address is there. A link is there. You can email me directly. Let me know what you want to do here, because I want it to be up and running for the 2024 election. We only have 9 months, folks. 9 months left in this election cycle. Let's do this. I mean, when you start talking about actual practical time, there's 9 months left. Well, folks, wonderful discussion. It was been fantastic having you here. Really nice. We almost hit 3,000 live viewers today. Fantastic. Glad to have you here. Let me pop this up here. Let you look at some beautiful Texas cities at night. Thank you for putting the website up, realtexaspaul.com, links for info on anything Texas Paul. You can also link to the store there, by the way. Like I said, get your Texas Paul mugs. Get your pothead mug. Identify yourself. Spread the word. I love you, folks. It's Old Texas Paul. Enjoy some Texas cities at night. People always ask me when this is San Antonio, beautiful city, great tourist town. Go visit. Houston is a business city. Austin, another great place to go visit. Beautiful city. Dallas, everybody recognizes Dallas for the building here with the green on it. This is Corpus Christi. Folks, y'all have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I look forward to seeing you Wednesday. We'll talk about some of the things that are going on in the world economy. Great to talk to you as always.